Hi, my name is Rene Jose, and today I'm going to be discussing the subject, a self-denying disciple. What is a disciple? That is a good question to consider, but to spare ourselves the headache of trying to break it down through a theological or exegetical method, let's just be practical for a second. It's pretty simple, quite frankly. Are you ready to be mind blown? The meaning of a disciple can be simplified to just one word: follower. I know what you're thinking. Wow, whoop-de-doo. That wasn't even hard to figure out. That required almost no type of theological research or effort. This isn't what I came to Bible college for. I'm not impressed. And to a certain extent, you're right. But before you boo me and take this video off to watch sports highlights or a cat playing piano, give me a chance to expand on this subject. The idea of being a disciple or a follower of Christ seems a little bit too simple, right? Well, see, that's where we all fall short at times. For many, when we think of disciples, we think of the 12 men that walked closely with Jesus. We ponder on the authority and the power that Jesus bestowed upon them to heal the sick and cast out the impure, and long for the closeness they had to Jesus. But see, there's one thing we overlook time and time again. That is the sacrifice, or better yet, the price they had to pay to follow God. Lord, I will follow you wherever you go. These were the words of the aspiring disciple of Jesus in Luke 9:57. They seem a bit familiar, huh? Maybe those were the same words you used on your first trip to an altar, or even during a prayer meeting where the presence of God was so palpable that it brought you to tears. But here's the problem. For some, this statement is vague and shallow. It's become something we say out of custom because it sounds good when leading a prayer in a service, or it's eloquent enough to move God while praying in our personal time when we don't know what else to say. Don't get me wrong. I know that people say it wholeheartedly, but there's something that comes hand in hand with this statement, and it's called sacrifice. Sacrifice is the act of giving up something valued for the sake of something else regarded as more important or worthy. If we continue to read this passage of Luke 9:57 through 62, we see how these aspiring disciples, one by one, began to back out. Why? Well, one wanted to bury his deceased father, while another desired to bid farewell to his family before he embarked on his discipleship. You know what I call this? Excuses, excuses, excuses. See, these men wanted to follow God, and some can even argue that their approach was genuine, but in a split second, they probably realized something. Wait, you mean I actually have to leave the things I hold dear to my heart? Oh no, I don't think I can do that. This is where Luke 12:34 comes into fruition. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. In Luke 18:18 through 25, we see a similar example when analyzing Jesus' encounter with a rich young ruler. Now, for this young man, it wasn't family that detained him, but rather an attachment to material possessions. It's important to know that he had an understanding of law and obeyed it to the letter. In a way, we could say he believed or he lived for God faithfully. But there was something now impeding him from achieving his goal of eternal life: his love for money. See, the young ruler wanted the blessing but didn't want to sacrifice. It's kind of the attitude we take up often in our walk with God, when we want the blessings of God and we want to be used of God, but we don't want to sacrifice our will or desires in complete surrender to God. Luke 14:26 clearly illustrates how far we must go to follow God. And if we consider it too hard to bear, we are not worthy of being his disciples. Following God is a walk of sacrifice, not of dandelions and rose petals. We need to deny ourselves to the utmost. If Jesus suffered, who are we to think that we can just get by through life without having to sacrifice? When Jesus called his first disciples, Peter, James, and John, in Luke 5:1 through 11, the Bible in verse 11 depicts the attitude that we must take as followers of Christ. In my opinion, the NIV provides the best illustration for us to better understand this concept. They pulled their boats up on shore, left everything, and followed him. So I want to end with this question, and I hope it stirs up something in your spirit. How much are you really willing to sacrifice to follow God? Thank you for your time.